Let's do a brief recap of 2020's best and worst PC hardware products. Everything that was going to be released in 2020 is finally out the door, and we can reflect on what was an exciting or a disappointing year in various areas. We have 5 categories to work through, covering mostly PC hardware components like CPUs, GPUs and motherboards, as well as laptop hardware and monitors. This is simply our take on the best and worst products launched during 2020. Let's get started.
Before starting with this, make sure you subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you will never miss our upcoming videos with lots of new products and benchmark comparison. Start with the video.
Best and worst CPU. Best is AMD Ryzen 9 5950X. Worst is AMD Ryzen XT range. In 2020 we saw 2 major CPU launches from both of the big brands. In April, Intel launched their 10th generation Core series, otherwise known as Comet Lake, which included a massive slew of new parts such as the Core i9-10900K, Core i7-10700K and Core i5-10600K. While Intel did increase the maximum core count on offer from 8 to 10 cores, and slightly increased peak frequencies, this didn't change the conversation too much about where and when you should buy Intel or AMD CPUs. Later on, in November, AMD launched the Ryzen 5000 series, equipped with their new Zen 3 core design. This architectural update brought a significant increase to IPC, improving single-thread performance in particular, but also giving a handy bump overall. While core counts remain the same, and AMD have yet to release more budget-friendly models, the Ryzen 5000 lineup impressed upon launch. Best and worst GPU. Best is none you could buy. Worst is Radeon RX 6900 XT. Most of 2020's big graphics card launches were consolidated to the second half of the year, with both AMD and Nvidia launching new generation products that packed new architectures and technologies. Nvidia rolled out first with the GeForce RTX 3080 and RTX 3090 in September, followed by the RTX 3070 and RTX 3060 Ti weeks later. AMD responded with the Radeon RX 6800 XT and 6800 in November, then the 6900 XT in December. Both brands' focus was on high-end products at the top of the market. Oh, and there was one other often forgotten GPU that launched early in the year: AMD's Radeon RX 5600 XT, which hit the market in January, a launch we're sure everyone would rather forget about. It was a tough choice between all of these GPUs for which was the best of 2020. Ultimately we settled on nothing. That's right, we really don't think any of these graphics cards is worthy of winning a Best of 2020 award given their poor availability. Both Nvidia and AMD botched the launches of these auth-RY's great new graphics cards, with stock issues for every single model up to this day. Best and worst motherboard. Best is numerous AMD B550 motherboards. Worst is ASRock Z490 boards. 2020 was a big year for GPU and CPUs, but we saw a more modest cycle for motherboard launches. AMD decided against refreshing their high-end motherboard chipset, instead opting to continue using X570 as the flagship with BIOS updates across the board for Ryzen 5000. This was a sensible decision but meant that we had fewer motherboards to test throughout the year. However, we did see several other launches. Intel refreshed their lineup with 400 series chipsets to coincide with the launch of 10th gen desktop processors, so we got Z490 and B460 boards plus several others. AMD focused mostly on mid-range and entry-level chipsets, finally getting around to releasing B550 as well as A520 for basic builds. Laptop hardware CPU. Best is AMD Ryzen 7 4800U. Worst is Intel Core i7-10750H. Mobile hardware has a great year, particularly on the processor side. At the beginning of 2020, AMD launched Ryzen Mobile 4000 based on the Zen 2 architecture and TSMC 7nm process node, with chips that were good for both gaming laptops and ultra-portables. Closer to the end of the year, Intel responded with Tiger Lake U series for thin and light systems, and overall both parts competed strongly over and across. As it stood towards the end of the year, there was a little something for everyone in the market. Tiger Lake provides excellent performance for single-threaded and light workloads with its high IPC and far better clock speeds than previous 10nm attempts. Meanwhile, AMD slays multi-thread workloads with up to 8 processing cores and excellent choices for workstation-oriented laptops in the H series. Best and worst monitor. Best is Asus ROG Swift PG259QN. Worst is Viotech GFI 27QXA. To round out this feature, we have the best and worst monitors of 2020. Another solid category overall for 2020, lots of great new releases and technology being pushed up to new levels. Including the release of 1080p 360Hz models, high-end 1440p 240Hz monitors using VA and IPS technology, as well as a new generation of 4K 144Hz panels that resolve several early adopter issues. Many of these products are setting us up for great iteration throughout 2021 to iron out remaining problems. We tossed up between two products that we think pushed the monitor market forward in 2020. One is the Samsung Odyssey G7, which showed us that a high refresh rate 1440p experience with a VA panel is possible without issues like dark level smearing. However, we decided not to award this monitor because it had a bunch of flickering issues that accompanied its launch. Instead, we're giving the award to the Asus ROG Swift PG259QN. Yes, that's right. The best monitor of 2020 is a 1080p display. But this thing seriously impressed us with its combination of the fastest refresh rate we've seen in a consumer gaming monitor, the fastest response times we've tested from an IPS panel. One of the best variable refresh rate experiences you can get, excellent backlight strobing capabilities, and outstanding factory calibration for great color performance. Hitting all of these areas in the one product is very rare, so Asus thoroughly deserves this award for their engineering efforts. And yet, even though the PG259QN is one of the best monitors you can buy, it's not the monitor we recommend to most casual buyers due to its high price tag and lower resolution. Most gamers will be better off with other great monitors like the Odyssey G7 or LG 27GN950 if they're interested in something high-end, or the wealth of great budget options we got this year. But from a technical perspective, the PG259QN feels like a true next-generation product.